you're on the phone and if you're a salesperson and you're letting the customer beat you the fuck up or kick you in the teeth or push you around, well, then that's an issue. You can be yourself and be successful. And if I was talking to myself when I was 17, 15, 14, I would say, David, you can be you and still win. And you can win more than anybody fucking else. 13 months later, I was driving an Aston Martin and I was the business had over 8,000 lifetime. I don't claim to be this perfect person. I'm by no means a perfect person. No one is perfect.
When did you first start with sales? How did you come into this world?
So I was 21. I did a financial advisory insurance internship. And then I moved into after university. I have a finance degree and I started selling high interest business loans at PayPal, merchant cash advance stuff. And then I ended up taking the same sales process that I developed after doing about $40 million in deals there and 890 outbound transactions to really taking that same process. And I applied it to a marketing agency. And then I eventually taught that process along with the way that I was doing client acquisition and that I was getting clients. And then built a fairly big company called Cashflow Syndicate, which is now rebranded as SkillStacks. And I've been doing that the past almost 4 years now, along with, still doing the marketing agency stuff where I moved into more of a client acquisition kind of frontward facing style thing where I just make sure that we can keep the lights on and, started working on some other things. But yeah, that's kind of the general story. I started, 16 hours a day cold calling in the trenches. And now we're here where, fortunately, I don't necessarily have to do that as much anymore, but I still do just to, show the guys how it's done.
I love that. And when you first got started, right, going all the way back into the cold calling days, when you're sitting there dialing away, how are you feeling, man? Like what's your mindset going into that?
Dude, that's a good question. Mindset was interesting because when I started out, I sucked. I wasn't good, bro. And I thought that I was going to be able to come in. I remember like when I first got the commission calculator that we got to basically track, where are we at in terms of our goals and where are we at and how are we doing these things. What I did was I said, okay, how the fuck do I show up and make 30 grand a month? Bro, this is like me, completely green, completely new. I had no idea what was going on with the process whatsoever. I said, okay, what do I need to do to make 30 grand a month? I said, okay, I need to do 150 deals a month. I was like, I need to close $10 million a month and do 150 deals a month, right? And this is me like with no idea of what the sales process was like or what the process was like at all whatsoever. And I just came in. I said, okay, how do I just max this? I said, I want to make $250,000 a year. I was 22 at the time. I'm like, I want to make $250,000 a year. How do I do this, right? And so I plugged the numbers in, and so like. That was my mindset going in. And I was very, very much like, kicked in the teeth, rude awakening. I was like, okay, well, this is going to be super hard. I was like, oh yeah. I was like, what is that? What's 150 divided by 30 is what? I need to do 5 deals a day.
Yeah.
Okay. I need 5 closes a day, outbound cold calling over the phone. So like, how do we make that happen? So that was kind of the nature of like my mindset going in. And then, I realized, I wasn't as good as I thought I was, especially for the first 2 or 3 months. When you start a new sales opportunity, when you start a new job, when you start a new thing, a new offer, a new company, you're always going to have these times where it's a Dunning-Kruger effect. You think you're way better than you actually are, and then the world humbles you, and God always has a way of balancing things out. And you become very humbled very fast, and then you hit the other side of it where you're like, oh shit, maybe I'm not as good as I think I am. And then you slowly work your way back to this beautiful equilibrium point of flow. And then eventually you build the skill sets and the skill stacks in order to actually do the thing in the way that you want to do the thing and actually reach the goals that you want to have. So it's a very beautiful place to be in, but it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, energy, and work. And there were a lot of times like I almost got fired. My mentor almost fired me at my job.
What was happening?
For underperformance, bro. Just like anyone would be on the hook to almost get fired for underperformance. Yeah. And I remember I got out of that meeting. We had a very serious conversation that I did $1.25 million in revenue in a week. I did like 25 deals in a week. and that
That's
was
great.
like January. And I remember like the month before, I remember starting in October, and the first month I hit my sales quota was December, and I remember I had like a $13,000 commission check on the way for the month of December. And in January, it's like the first second week of January, and I'm like, my ass is on the line. I'm like, oh shit. I was like, I just got a new car, and I just moved into like this dope apartment, and I was like, okay, like this opportunity is like giving me everything, and really taking me from a point of where I was like sleeping in my car for a week because like it's a whole nother story, but I was like sleeping in my car for a week. And while that was happening, I almost got fired. And then also I came back and I fucking cried and I started crushing it. And something that he told me that I tell a lot of people is like, because with sales reps, a lot of the time we do it to build the skills to live a better life, right?
Sure.
He told me one thing, and I say this to my guys all the time now. I don't care
Mm.
what it is you're going through in your actual life situation. Everybody's got personal shit going on. Everybody's got personal stuff going on. We all
100%.
have we all have our shit, right? But when you show up to work every day, and when you show up in an opportunity that can give you the world and that can give you the skills that you need in order to be successful, you get the opportunity to show up every single day and lock in and be good at what you do. And nobody can take that away from you. The shit in the outside world that's going on can't take that away from you. The skills that you
Mm.
develop cannot be taken away from you. And that's what he told me. And I say that to everybody that comes, like everybody that I work with.
How did that shift things for you?
It allowed me to drown out the noise. And you just show up every day and you're like, I'm here. And when I'm here, I'm going to give 150%. And I'm going to do the things that I need to do, not only as a man, but for myself and the people that I need to provide for. Right.
Yeah.
And that shifted a lot of things for me. That was a really valuable conversation. I think that was the second most valuable conversation that I ever third most valuable conversation that I ever had with him. And he's one of the head sales managers or sales directors at a very big software company now, so he's doing very well. And he really I don't usually talk about this dude a lot, but he fucking changed the game for me and taught me a lot of things that I use and that I teach to this day.
What was the
And
biggest lesson you learned from him?
so there were two. There were two, and then that was the third. I would say the first business lesson that I learned from him is how to look at numbers and KPIs and data in order to have reps improve in the process, right? So he wasn't my direct sales manager. He was the level above, right? So we had
Okay.
three sales managers. So we had the team lead, you had the rep, you had the team lead, then you had the guy who manages the team leads, the pods of the teams, and then you have the guy above him. He was called a section manager. He taught me, I said, because I remember I said, okay, I had this is I think February of 2020. I had a 68.3% close rate.
Can't
Highest
complain
in
with
the
that.
department,
That's
highest in the
great.
whole company. And
Cold
I said,
calling.
yeah, cold calling out. It was outbound calls to current customers, upselling them on new deals. So it
That
was
was
people who
huge.
had done business with us before, but haven't heard from us in 6 months, essentially 6 months to 12 months. Right. So so I remember I said to him, I said, look, I said, yo, I said, what the fuck? I said, what's going on? I said, I'm trying to understand. I said, what's going on here? I have a 68.3% close rate, but I'm still like middle of the pack. What's going on here? And he said, look, he said, anytime anybody is experiencing an issue like this, he's like, dude, he's like, look, what we know, he's like, we have to look at the numbers. You always have to look at the numbers. And all of the reps on the floor had access to the numbers. We got an end of the day report. How many calls did you make? And we could see these on a weekly basis. Like we all had access to this. So this is what taught me how to look at numbers and how to look at quantitative and qualitative data in order to improve your process, right? So this is really valuable stuff. So what he taught me, so he said, okay, we pulled up this spreadsheet. He said, all right, let's just look at this. What are the top three reps doing, right? And so the top two guys were other mentors of mine, and they were actually on the phones with me. And I sat next to one of them, and he was a fucking beast, animal. He taught me a lot of stuff. And then there was another guy who was the best rep. The guy that I used to sit next to, what was like his like kind of mentee sort of thing. So number one and then number two. And then I was just absorbing all this game. And these guys were veterans. These guys were in the game for a very long time. And he said, okay, well, what are they doing? And so he showed me, he said, okay, you have this amount of outbound calls. You have a 68.3% close rate. I wish I had a screenshot. And then he said, okay, but here's where you're falling short. You don't have enough opportunities open. Look at your number of opportunities compared to the top guy's opportunities, right? And opportunities were conversations had, deals open that have moved forward to some sort of offer presentation, right? This isn't closes, this is just deals open. So actual sales conversations had, where you pitch them a deal, you go through numbers. I had half of the number of opportunities opened as the top guys. They had a little bit of a lower close rate, but because they had more volume and because they were having more sales conversations with less amount of outbound calls, because I was putting up 80 to 120 calls a day, most days, they had less calls. They would have 30 to 50 calls a day, but they would have double the number of opportunities. So he said, so what we can tell from this data is that there's a problem with something you're saying on the front end of the phone. Okay. He said, so let's walk through what you're saying on the phone, right? So we pulled up a few of my calls, right? And we went through my process, and then we just simply went into fucking Salesforce software and opened it up, and we saw, and I started listening to the two guys that I know who were number one and number two. We were listening to their calls. And this is how the passive cold call was invented. This one guy, he was calling, and it was so different to the way that I was trained. It was so different to the way that I was taught, even at the company. And it was this longer 45-second to 1.5 minute long pitch, basically selling the entire deal on the front end in a low pressure way. And I listened to that, and I remember I wrote it down, and I wrote it down 3 different ways for 3 different customer archetypes. So people that have, let's say they applied 3 months ago for a loan and they were declined, right? Then people that haven't been spoken with in a while, and then people who got called on Friday and it was Monday, right? So we were very much so calling behind different people. And I'll break this down here. I'll give a lot of game in this. So, and I wrote this thing down, and I get out of this meeting and I call this guy. Guy answers the phone. It's like 5:30 p.m. on the East Coast. And I call this guy, and I one-tap this guy for $100,000 deal on the phone. The average deal size is about 40 grand. One-tap this deal in 15 fucking minutes, open to close off the cold call, 1 call close, 15 minutes, $100,000 loan deal with the same script that I just wrote out. And then I started using the same script that I would pitch with as the fucking voicemail.
That's huge.
And then we would use this because we weren't doing text messages, by the way. Yeah. So it was only phone and voicemail. And I started using this script that I wrote out on the voicemail, and I would have like 5 to 10 inbound calls of people calling me back almost every single day.
Wow, that's huge.
So basically, I went from like middle of the pack to like there was at one point the next month after this happened, after I really started perfecting this process, where I was like, for like a week or two, I was like rank 1 on the board, which was sick, because I went from like middle of the pack to everyone being like, yo, what the fuck is he doing? And I was 20, I think it was still 22 at the time. And so I learned this thing. And so we had so I'll cover all of this. So that was the first most valuable lesson. So what it taught me was how, and I use this in not only in my team, but I teach this to other people as well, is that you have to keep track of your numbers, because your numbers are going to tell you exactly where every single rep and where the team needs to improve. So like, let's take info, for example, right? Because you have teams that are selling info packages. If your setters aren't making enough calls, or they don't have enough talk time on the phone, well, guess what? Conversions suffer, right? So then you understand, okay, well, if there's a problem, so if they're making 100 dials a day and no one's picking up, or no one's giving them the time of day, and the talk time is super low, well, then there's a problem with what they're saying on the front end of the phone. If they have a lot of talk time with no deals closed, well, then, okay, now we know that there's an issue at some point in their process there. So it really teaches you how to look at not like the rep as a person or as a human being. It teaches you how to just look at it at an organizational level on a fucking napkin and be like, this guy needs to improve his pitch. This guy needs to improve his sales process. This guy needs to improve his close, right? And then from the team, then you know what to train your team on during your daily meetings. And then you know what you need to train the rep on during your one-on-ones with data, just looking at numbers. So that's the first most valuable lesson. That lesson has made me a lot of money. Number two is the second most valuable thing that he taught me was from a management level. And this is where the 4 C's kind of came from. So there's a principle that I teach called the 4 C's, right? Or no, sorry, not the 4 C's. It's this thing that I teach. It's like a perpendicular kind of like thing. It's called the quadrants of success is what I called it. And this was my own process that I used to go through while me and him were in our one-on-one management meetings of how I became great. Was what do you do? He would ask him, what do you think you're doing well? What do you think you're doing not so well? What do you think that you want to change about your pitch? And then that was that. And then I thought about it. I said, okay, well, what is mentally or physically blocking me from changing and implementing those things that will fix the things that I'm not doing well? Because everything that we don't do, there's a mental or physical block as to why we don't do those things, right?
Of course.
So I implemented that, and that changed the game for me because I said, okay, well, I think I need to be closing harder because you become very self-aware when you do this. What do I need to be doing well? Okay, well, I need to be more disciplined. I need to make more phone calls. I need to close harder. I feel like I let that guy off the phone when I shouldn't have let him off the phone, right? And now here's the thing is like a lot of reps, like especially these kids getting into the info game now, like I'm a very dominant salesperson. As a human being, I'm very dominant. Actually, I'm in the office right now and it's like a co-working kind of thing. And this one guy, I think just said something fairly disrespectful to me. So I'm going to have to go handle that very nicely in a little bit. But like I don't take shit, right? So when you're on the phone and if you're a salesperson and you're letting the customer beat you the fuck up or kick you in the teeth or push you around, well, then that's an issue, right? So there's a thing there. It's like you don't feel like you are worth it enough or you don't have enough, not self-governance, but you don't have enough self-belief or value in yourself to say, hey, no, you're wrong, or tell the customer, no, you're wrong. Right? Or you're going to let them push you off the phone. You're not going to go back at them and actually not force them, but give them all the information that they need to make a decision. So that was the second most valuable thing. The third most valuable thing was that when you show up every single day, you get to sit there and you get to be good at what you do. And that really changed a lot for me as well. So
the first and the third thing, man, those two really hit home. Those two really hit home, especially the third. Like, I didn't start with cold calling myself, but I did start in the door-to-door sense, so like cold calling people at their houses. Yeah. You know what I mean? And there were so many people that would show up every single day and they'd have all this baggage with them. You know, it attracts a certain type of person because you don't need to have qualifications. You just need to be willing to knock on a door. And there'd be all these issues. And a lot of people would have issues that they would let them come in and affect the rest of their day. Right. And it used to be that exact same thing. We used to drive at home where it's like, mate, whether you are working today and you don't think about it for the next 8 hours, or you think about it every second of that, it's not going to change. So you may as well dedicate yourself to this and let your baggage at the door.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really big block for a lot of people.
Huge.
It's a really big block.
When you went from that position, right? You were at that company, remind me how long?
Almost 2 years, 1 year and 9 months. I was at PayPal. I'm public about it now. I used to not be public about it. When I was 22, I was an account executive at a Fortune 500 company. Yes.
That's awesome. Why'd you leave? Why'd you move on?
I was capped out on the amount of money that I could make. And it was this perfect storm where I hated my life because I had money and I was still waking up doing the same thing every day. Because when you start out, you think, oh, I'm going to make money and it's going to change my life. My life did not change that I was making money. It did not change. Actually, when I moved out of like my nice apartment in Philly that I had when I was living in Philly, I moved out and I went back. I moved out and I went to Los Angeles for 2 months and I was like working from there and like everything was dope. And I was like, okay, I think I want to move out to LA. I came back and I moved all my shit out of my apartment and I went back to my childhood bedroom. and I ran it up, bro. I was like, it was like, bro, like literally, like my childhood bedroom, like is not bigger, not much bigger than like the one of like the little offices that I'm in right now that we're recording this in. And I had a bed, and I had my desk, and I had my chair that I called the Rolls Royce, bro. I have like an office chair. I got it. I don't know if you guys have Staples down there, but I had a office chair that I called the Rolls Royce, and I still got that fucking chair today, bro. And I slung wheels out of that bit, bro. I slung out of that chair. And you know, um, the thing was is like I was there and I ran it up. Like I was there. I went home for like I was there for like 2 months. And I was like trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and I was just running it up, bro. 8 a.m. to fucking 9 p.m. every day, sitting in my house, drinking coffee, like ordering food, and just and work. I would work out after I work out every single night. I was in phenomenal shape. I was 20. I was like I was just about to be 24, so I was 23 at the time, and I'm in sick shape. I'm a beast at what I do. I got 30-year-old people like hitting me up saying like at my company saying, "Yo, what are you doing? How are you closing shit like that?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, so here's how I do it." Da 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 da. And I got really good at what I did. And I had a really good month, April of 2021. I did. I think my sales commission was like something like 22,000 or something dollars, $22,000. And then I made some money because I was messing around with some crypto stuff, with like the old like DeFi like yield farming things, and I basically made like 32 and a half thousand dollars in that month, right?
Let's go.
So I end up getting sick. I got strep throat 3 times back to back to back in the month of May. Month of May is my birthday, and I couldn't speak. Couldn't speak, bro. So I come back from LA, I fucking run it up, I crush it, and then I get sick and I can't speak. And I wasn't as religious as I am now. I was like kind of playing. I was an atheist for a while. I was agnostic. I was raised Christian. I was raised Christian, kind of Catholic. I never went to Catholic school or anything like that. But like I didn't grow up in the Catholic Church. My mom was like Christian Catholic. We flopped back and forth. So and I started kind of toying with this idea of like religion and everything. And I said, okay, well, there has to be a reason for this. I said, maybe this is God, because I still like it wasn't like I wasn't fully religious because I was very like you know pessimistic and things like that. Very 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 180, absolute opposite to how I am now. But and I said, this has to be God taking away my voice and my livelihood because now it's time to do something different. I have to make a change because I was on Twitter and I saw these people making money online, bro. And I started finding this. I was on Twitter for like 2 years, and I see all these other guys, running up these agencies and running up like different ways to make money online and like doing this thing and building this platform. And I'm just watching, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, damn, I'm really thugging it out on the phones, like. And I see all these other guys making money, just throwing it in my face, and it inspired the hell out of me. Actually, all the guys that I used to like look at are all homies of mine now, which is crazy. So I end up getting sick, right? And so I'm out. I had so much sick leave and paid time off. I took the entire month off, and I was like in bed, like sick. But I was still messing around with. I started toying with this idea of online business. So I'm like, yo, like I'm gonna do this. I think I'm really gonna do this thing. And I toyed with it before, and I'd gotten like a client like to do email marketing for them within like the first 24 hours because I was a fashion model for a little bit. I used to do runway modeling, and I got my first client basically was like one of the people that I walked for a show. And it was like first client 24 hours when I had the idea, but like work was taking up so much of my time. And while I was in LA, when I was working over there, I was like, okay, what is my exit plan? Am I going to do crypto? Am I going to how can I adapt this skill set that I have to funnel it into the next thing? Because I don't want to be here anymore. Like it's a grind. I've been here almost 2 years. I feel like I'm getting older. And even though I have some money now, I want to really like I need to do something different because like you see like and I was looking at all these people fucking pushing Lambos and doing all this crazy shit and traveling the world, and that's what I wanted to do. So what happened is I came back and I get sick, and then June 1st, we get a call. It's an all hands meeting. Hi guys, your commissions are going to be cut by 75% for the next 6 months, and you're going to have to call leads that haven't been spoken to in 3 years.
I'm out.
Bro, I looked out my window, bro, and it was sunny. And this is Philadelphia, bro. I'm in my childhood bedroom, and I checked, like, bro, after that call, bro, I checked the stock portfolio, I checked my crypto, I checked my bank. I had like 120 something grand, like liquid, right? And I'm 23, or I just turned 20. I just turned 24, and I spent my birthday sick in bed. And I was like, yo. And I looked out, and then my boy, who I'm actually out here in Stockholm with now, and we work together. He's my best friend. Was like, yo, I'm having my 25th birthday party in Mykonos. We're all going to Mykonos. Pull up, right? And I said, fuck it, I'm there, right? And this is why I was all sick, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm there. I said, cool. I just bought. As soon as he said, I said, cool, bought my ticket, done, because I'd just gotten my passport in April of that year, and I'd never been out of the country before. So I'm like, fuck, we out. And so he said, "What are you going to do about your job?" And I was like, "I don't know yet." And then, as right after that meeting, I'm going to quit. I said, "I'm done. I'm going to quit." And I knew I was like, you know, whatever it is, like I looked at like the amount of deals that I had done, and I remember I always used to say, I said, if I put in 60% of the effort or 70% of the effort, a fraction of the effort that I do here every single day into my own thing, I said, there's 100% I'm going to become a millionaire. This is me at 23 years old, 22, 23 years old saying this. I said, there's no chance I fucking fail. So I end up, and I'm like, okay, so up to 2 weeks into this shit, I'm like calling these fucking dead leads and like volumes down, and like they're like, oh yeah, it'll get better, it'll get better, it'll get better. Just grind it out, just grind it out. And I'm like, yo, like, I don't, I'm like, I'm looking at the sun, and then I'm like looking at Twitter, and I see all these other guys making money. I'm like, yo, like this is said I don't know, I don't really think this is it anymore. So what I ended up doing was the night before I quit my job, I went to a strip club and I got drunk. I took $100 out the
That is
ATM,
the best way to do it.
and I got fucked up, bro. And I was tired of this shit. I was like, yo, fuck this, I'm done. And so I went to the strip club. I took like $100 at the time at the ATM, and I threw it. I threw the whole stack on stage in one clip, right? And I said, okay, I'm smoked. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, I'm fucked up. And I go, I was like, this is an offering to the money gods. I was like, everything will be okay. And I was like talking to myself. I threw it. I did not wake up for work the next day. I drove like, bro, like I did not wake up for work the next day. So like I woke up, I clocked in, and I was so sick and hungover that I was like throwing up, and I clocked in, but like I didn't make any calls for like fucking 2-3 hours, right? And I had already had a conversation with my mentor at the time, the guy who taught me all this stuff. I was like, you know, dude, I'm starting to do some things on the side. Some things are going well. I kind of want to start this business, and like I think it's like a really good time. And like he was like, yo, bro, I feel you. Like I'm doing some shit on the side too. He's like, I'm about to buy a rental property, an investment property, and everything. Um, and he was like, yeah, like I understand. And I was like, yeah. I was like, you know, the climate of like what's coming down the line with the changes and everything. Like I'm not really too happy with it, especially because of like the performance and everything that I had the
Yeah, of
past few
course.
months and stuff like that, right? Um, so like I was very disgruntled, not like with the senior management, like stuff. Obviously, as a rep, you don't have control over.
Of
And
course.
I said, you know what, fuck it. So I go strip club, and I wake up, and then like the management's calling me now, like so my mentor and then like his manager are calling me and saying, yo, where you at? Like, yo, what's going on here? And I got on the meeting, bro, and I'm like smoked. I got the bucket next to me. I pulled the trash can up. I don't even think there was anything in there. I'm like, yo, my bad. Like, I've been throwing up all morning. Like, I'm gonna see if I can make some calls today. But honestly, like, to be honest, I'm to tell you the truth. I think my time here. I think my time here has come to an end.
Bro, what a
You know,
way to quit.
I was like, I think my time here has come to an end. Respectfully, like, I just, I don't think it's the best career decision for me to stay here. I don't think it's the best thing for the company. And I think that like this company and this job has given me everything, and I'm so grateful and I'm so appreciative. I think I was still drunk, bro. And I was like, like respectfully, like I was like, I don't think it's the best thing for the company to keep for me to be here, and also for myself. And I think I think it's time for me to move on. And I hope that you guys respect your wishes. I respect my wishes, and I'll do like I'll finish out the day, and I'll put up as much volume as I possibly can today, given the circumstances. And they were like, "Yo, bro, like we get it. we feel the same fucking way as you. And like, and it was like this very like, it was actually like a really like they were like we it was such like my department, especially with like the managers and everything, like regardless of stature within the company and the corporate hierarchy, like we all were on like super good terms. And I really like those guys. And I really have like so much respect and love for those guys and what they taught me, and the game that they put me on. And like they just were like, when I think of a sales organization and I think of like the way that I want to run my organization, I want to
Yeah.
do the same thing that those guys did for me, and all those people that were involved in my success and really taught me the game. Like that was so important to me. Like, and I know how much it did for me, and it was like I was so grateful. And we ended up like I ended up parting ways. So I quit on a Friday. That next Thursday, I was on a flight to Mykonos, and I never looked back. So yeah,
When
June
you went
19th, the anniversary
June
of June
19th,
19th, 21. Yeah, 2021, June 19th.
where did that lead you next? So you're in Mykonos, you're having your friend's 25th, 26th birthday.
25th
Uh,
birthday. I spent like 60 grand on this trip, bro. I liquidated all my shit. I sold everything, dude. I cashed out. I sold the stock. I sold my company stock. I threw $50,000 in vested stock away when I left, because if you leave and the stock doesn't vest, you lose it. So I had an extra 50 grand in stock, that I was company stock, that I was supposed to get. Um, and like yeah, so that happened, so I threw that away. But like also like I still had money, and so I basically womped around Europe for 3 months. And I lived on a Greek island. I lived in Naxos, Greece, which is one of my favorite places in the world. I want to buy a property there very soon, um, like a vacation home. And so I womped around Europe with my best friend for 3 months. We had a lot of fun. We were staying in 5-star hotels and flying all over the world, and enjoying our life. And when I came back to Philly after that trip, and I was posting about the trip on Twitter. I started posting on Twitter. I started like when I was out drinking at the bar, or whatever, in Greece, where I was living for a little bit. I was living after Mykonos. I went to Naxos, and I lived there for like a month. And I started posting on Twitter, and like people started fucking with it. People started liking what I had to say. So what ended up happening was, I came back when I got back to the States. I had 1,000 followers, and I started writing and telling stories and talking about my sales experience. And I kept seeing all of these people on Twitter posting about how to sell stuff, and I was like, these guys have no clue what they're talking about. I was like, I don't know what these people are saying. They have no clue. And I was like, wow. And that was the first time that I was like, wow, actually, like I have something of value that I can share on this platform. And when I started sharing it, it caught fire. So by the time I got back, I had 1,000 Twitter followers. And I remember having a conversation with my buddy, who I used to work with, who was actually still at PayPal. One of my best friends. He's at IBM now. He's an amazing guy. Um, he said, "What do you think you're going to do with it?" He's like, "How are you going to keep it going?" I was like, "I don't know. We'll figure it out." So the entire way that it happened was, I just started doing stuff. And I had already committed to moving out to LA. So I spent like 60 grand in Europe, and then I spent like another 10, 15, 20 grand moving out to LA. And I remember being in LA like in September. I want to say it was September of 2021. And
Sure.
because I went back to Philly, and I started the marketing agency, and I was like, okay, like I'm closing shit on the phone. I did 0 to 10 grand in 3 weeks in profit, right? Just hitting
That's
people up on
beautiful.
the phone, sending emails. Like Little Baby has a phenomenal lyric. He says, "I ain't going broke. I'm just back on my old shit," right? So I know if anything ever gets bad, I'm just gonna pull up the phone, and I'm just gonna start dialing, and I'm gonna start closing stuff. So um, that's what I ended up doing. And then I got on Twitter, and then Twitter Spaces became a thing. And then I started talking on Twitter Spaces, and like kind of doing like just sharing game, bro. Just talking about my experience, and answering people's sales questions, and business questions and stuff like that, and just kind of sharing and talking about what I was doing. And October, I started a paid community, one of the first not course communities, but one of the first subscription communities on Twitter that like really caught heat. The first day got 250 customers at $9 a week. And yeah, and so I remember looking at the Stripe MRR thing, and it said $4,500 in MRR on the first day, after the first day. And I said, "Wow," I said, my bills are paid. And I built like the whole business from, I didn't even bother, like, I had like my stuff getting shipped from LA and my car and everything. So like the initial
Hmm.
stages of like Cashflow Syndicate and the marketing agency were built in a bedroom with my bed on the floor, on a folding chair, and a fucking IKEA desk.
How good did
And
that feel though? Like being able to reflect back and just
bro,
like that
it
mental
was
picture.
lightning in a bottle. Is, and I'll tell you, dude, like it was something really special. Um, I think it was, I don't know the exact date, but um 13 months later, 14
Hmm.
months later, I was driving an Aston Martin and I was fucking, and the business had over 8,000 lifetime customers.
Wow.
And like it peaked out at, I think, a 3,000 active paying subscribers. And it ended up becoming the second largest low ticket paid community course community at the time, teaching sales, copywriting, marketing, and how to start a marketing agency. So and it was like I never had claimed at that point to be like this like agency guy, right?
Sure.
I was a sales guy, and I was like, this is the process of how I was acquiring clients for the marketing business.
Hmm.
Um, and it worked. And like there's been a few seven figure earners that have come out of that and from like the stuff I teach. And like obviously like that was like the first iteration of everything. And then like since then it's like it's just becoming more and more and more and more like really great stuff. Um, and it's just been added to over time, right? So like it got rebranded as agency course, and then now it's skill stacks because I realized, okay, well, like we can't, I just don't want to be like a one trick pony. I know all of these different things, and I've evolved as an entrepreneur now. So how do we teach everything? And I love the coaching business, and I love teaching people game because like, dude, like there's kids who've come out like, and they're just like one of the guys who, like, Cashflow Syndicate was his first program that he ever bought for 55 bucks. He now makes $150,000 a month and he's 21 years old. And he spoke at my mastermind.
I love
2 years later, he was speaking at my mastermind. So it's really beautiful how things come full circle. And it's like really actually interesting how um, the world evolves and like business evolves. And I remember 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I said 2 years from now, everyone's going to have a low ticket community. Everyone's going to have a paid community. And so between 2021 to early 2023 to about April 2023, it was the second largest paid community teaching sales that I know of, teaching sales, marketing, agency stuff, how to start a marketing agency. And there was so many people that tried to rip me off and very big names. But it was like, no, I really haven't heard of many people getting to that level with such a cheap product or an inexpensive product. Um, you don't get 8,000 customers by doing something wrong,
No,
you
no,
know. So
especially not.
yeah, so and there's been, yeah, these are only like the people that I've heard of and everything like that. So that's kind of where that led. There were a lot of ups and downs. There was a lot. I'm actually, the reason I'm back in Stockholm is because when I came here for the first time, some numerology. I'm not really into numerology or spiritual stuff that much, but I know that things have a meaning. 27 months ago, I came to Stockholm with one of my ex girlfriends for the first time. 27 months ago, I took Cashflow when I was Cashflow Syndicate was in full swing. I took it from I want to say like it was like 25, 30K a month to like 90K in like 30 days. And it was because of the work that I did here when I was here in Stockholm. So what did
Hmm.
I do? I went to the same fucking apartment, the same fucking building, the same exact thing, and now I'm here for a month, and I'm actually going to be moving over here very soon. But I got so much beautiful work done, and so much deep work, and so much creative work that it was so impactful for the business, and that's why I came back, right? So really just such an interesting story, but it's been a phenomenal ride, and it's been an amazing run. And yeah, so that's kind of where it led me. And then
I'm,
from there, we've just been like, because I was good and built that business. I ended up kind of doing like the whole growth operator thing for a little bit. We partnered, did consulting with some decent sized info companies and things like that. But I realized that really wasn't the lane that I wanted to go in. And then we built a number of things this year. But it's been a wild ride. So like mainly it's been, the info business and the coaching stuff, plus like the marketing business and the consulting stuff, and um, when God pushes you on a route, then you have to, like, you cannot deny God. This is what I learned. You cannot deny God in the path that he is pushing you on.
How did God play a role? Like when did, if you don't mind talking about this, but like
Yeah.
when did you find that connection? Like what was that point where you and God, the turning
July
point
of
for yourself?
2021.
What happened?
July 2021. So me and my best friend, we were in Italy. We were in Positano, Italy, and we had gone to Sorrento, and we had like all this bullshit happen to us. Like the car got fucking towed, and like I had to like got towed like 2 hours away. Like it was just a big shit. Like there was just a bunch of like dumb shit that happened, right? Like series of unfortunate events. We get to Sorrento and we go to this church, this old ass church, and I remember and I told the story on another podcast, but I get in the church and I start praying, and I said, God, please protect my friends, protect my family, and give me the strength to decimate my enemies with swift, ruthless, and effective force. Amen. That night, we get in a fight. We get jumped by 3 dudes in an alleyway. And we fuck these guys up, bro. Put their lights out. Bounce. My homie was bouncing the guy's head off the fucking cobblestone streets. I knocked this dude out on one of those fucking fences and everything. I'm like, you know, let's just say I don't know anything. I don't claim to be a fucking professional fighter. I don't need to post clips of myself boxing, training, whatever, on whatever, right? But I'm more than capable. Let's just say that. So then this third fucking guy starts trying to pick up a chair, and I start closing in on this dude. And this guy's like, we don't want any more. We don't want any more. Right? He's trying to pick up a chair. It's chained to the fence, and I'm like, I see blood, whatever, in my eyes. Like I'm like, I see red. I don't have a scratch on me. But I remember like 2 weeks later, I said, maybe there is, and then we went to Croatia and we're walking past this church in Split, Croatia. I don't know if you've ever been there, but I said, and I looked at him, I said, maybe there is something to this religion thing. I said, because that night that we got in that fight, I prayed for the protection of my friends, my family, and to decimate my enemies with swift, ruthless, and effective force. Now, I know this sounds crazy, Liam, but it happened. And ever since then, I've had a number of experiences with, the powers that be, and there is nothing that you can tell me that no one can ever tell me for the rest of time that will make me change my mind, right? So it was that, and then it was some other things about being visited in dreams and things like that. But it's more kind of like esoteric stuff, and we'll kind of save that. It's a different kind of story, but it's been just a very long journey of building this relationship with God, the powers that be, and like really like understanding and like doing some study and really understanding and putting a meaning behind the way that things have happened in my life and where I am today. And God is great.
God is great. I'm a Christian myself, or a disciple. I don't know if you know, I learned this recently. Christian was actually a derogatory term given to them by the Jews
Wow.
to describe people that followed Christ.
Wow.
And it just stuck. But so technically, if you read the Bible, it never describes anywhere in it what a Christian is. Nowhere in it, the Bible doesn't describe it once, but it describes a disciple, which is a follower of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Right, which is just an interesting thing for you. And I always, it's just a tangent for you. I always wondered why I never liked the word Christian. I don't know why. It just like I didn't like the way that other people would react around it. I mean, let's be honest. Let's call a spade a spade. For the last 5 to 10 years, it was not cool to be a Christian. It was incredibly looked down upon in a lot of different societies. The laughing joke in a lot of different groups, right? Yeah. And I finally see that coming back the other way, and I'm very thankful as a Christian. But I wondered why I never liked that word. And then only about a week ago, I actually went through and was listening to about it. And yeah, there's nowhere in the Bible that describes a Christian, because it was actually a derogatory term put towards Jesus's followers.
Wow. It's interesting stuff, huh?
Yeah, very interesting. How do you think your relationship with God impacted your route in business?
I think I need to use it more as a marketing angle, to be honest. I don't talk about it. I don't talk about it, right?
Yeah.
Um, I think that he has a very good way of correcting every fucking mistake that you've made and telling you with through the things that happen in your life what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. And he
Mhm.
has kicked me in the fucking face many, many a time to teach me a lesson. And he teaches you lessons because the things that happen to you in life, they teach you lessons, and you have to learn from those lessons. If you don't learn from those lessons, he gets involved, and he manifests himself in different ways. Whether it's your business going to zero, whether it's some sort of hardship in your relationships, or something happens, or he will put things in front of you that are there to teach you. And it is up to you if you want to learn and take the lesson or not. And if you don't, it gets progressively worse and worse and worse and worse until you fucking learn or you fucking die. So that's how it's impacted me. Because it's like I said, dude, it's it's not been all fucking sunshine and rainbows. Of course, it's been very tough to um, stand on your own 2 feet as an entrepreneur and be a man in this world today and really build something of value for yourself. It's like, social media makes everything look pretty, brother. Social media makes everything look pretty. Like, you go to my Instagram right now and see me taking pictures outside a mountain cabin on a vacation with my friends for a weekend outside of a fucking Huracan or something like, or like, you know, at the McLaren event, unveiling the drop top Artura. Like, there's so many different, like, or like me traveling here, me traveling there, like whatever, right? It's so
Mhm.
easy to make things look curated and make things look pretty. And you also have to understand that it's like everything that you see on social media, for the most part, unless somebody's really real about their life and really open about documenting their life, and it's not all curated and everything like that. That's why I like doing the YouTube videos with like unedited and raw, where it's just like you can hear me pause, you can hear me curse, you can hear me kind of stutter and fuck up in the rare occurrence that I do, because it's real. I don't
Mhm.
claim to be this perfect person. I am by no means a perfect person. No one is perfect, right? We all have, like I said at the beginning of this, we all have our stuff. But at the end of the day, we people, especially young children and young men and young women who look up to you on social media, if you have a platform, if you have an audience, you need to do the best possible job. For me, especially with me having a platform now, I need to do the best possible job that I can to show them that, yes, there is light at the end of the tunnel. I was down bad. I was supposed to be absolutely nothing given my circumstances. But in reality, if you work hard, you do the right things, you don't fuck anybody over, you don't do anything illegal, you will eventually get to a point where you are okay. Because no matter how rich you are, no matter how successful you are, everything can be taken from you very quickly. And you have to do the best possible job you can of maintaining that. That's what I truly believe. It's not about making, for me, it's not really about making things look cute on social media. It's
Mhm.
about showing what's real. This is who I am. This is how I think. Like, people on Twitter, they can't pin me down, or even YouTube. They can't really pin me down. Because I'll have videos where I'm just like sitting there, open shirt, talking shit about something. And then I'll also have like these very tactical, high level business videos. And it's like, that's who I am, right? Like,
Mhm.
I'm sitting here doing a podcast, doing a hat and a wife beater, but I'm in sweatpants and fuzzy slippers, right? Like, for me, it's like, for me, I enjoy the game, and it's like you don't need to be this caricature of yourself in order to be successful. You can be yourself and be successful. And if I was talking to myself when I was 17, 15, 14, I would say, David, you can be you and still win, and you can win more than anybody fucking else, and you are going to win more than anybody else by simply just being you and doing what is right and doing what you feel is right inside of yourself and inside of your heart and inside of your mind.
That's huge because I think a lot of the times, especially, I mean, man, you look at social media and everything looks the same. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I could probably pull up 10 different influencers and their pages. Like, there may be a different avatar, but like their pages are the same. Everyone's the same. And like, is it bad? Is it good? I'm not debating. But what I am saying is that there's no individuality that's there because they see that they need to win by being everyone else. But you're
Yeah.
100% correct in the sense that you being the rawest form of yourself, people like that. People will.
This is why, and I appreciate that, and you're absolutely right. because this is why I'm now having to rebrand one of the main programs that we do, because I don't want to be seen as one of these other guys, because I'm
Mhm.
certainly not, right? You're not one of these other guys, right? So if you come into a market, you come into life, you come into this business game, you come into the game. If you're a knockoff of somebody, people know. If you're a knockoff of a knockoff
100%.
of a knockoff, you are fucked. You're fucked. How many guys come into the game and try to be fucking Tate, bro? How many guys come into the game and try to be X, Y, or Z? They try to be the next influencer. They try to be the next fucking Tony Robbins. They try to be somebody, right? Everybody's
There's
trying to be,
110 Iman Godzis out there, mate.
bro. I see these fucking ads from these kids every single day, bro. They are trying to be like, they're wearing, like, listen, I gotta say, bro, I gotta give Iman credit, bro. He has got style. He knows how to dress, bro. He's very smart. He's well put together, bro. Game is game, bro. But there's so many little kids running around trying to wear Laurel Piana and vests. Like I got a lot of respect for Iman, bro. There's a lot of kids running around wearing Laurel Piana, trying to sell marketing services in their Laurel Piana loafers, trying to be a knockoff of him, bro. Yo, he invented that swag. He invented that sauce, bro. That's his shit. That is his shit. And the reason I'm passionate about this is because, like, for anybody listening, I don't know how many views this get, but for anybody listening, you got to find your shit, right? For me, I remember, like, I wanted to be a rock star, bro. I was a guitar player, right? So that's why I still got long hair. I wanted to be a rock, like, I want to be brash and outspoken, right? In the same way that I am on this podcast, and real and authentic and be myself. And I also want to, you know, I still want to be, wearing a nice custom tailored suit, living the way that I live or pushing a supercar. I still want to do that too. And I also still want to put game out into the streets for the kids who were just like me. And I still want to provide high level value and build very big businesses and build the things that I'm building in the verticals and the industries that I'm building, right? The financial company I'm not going to get into that because we got into that last time, but like build like the financial company I'm building, or like I'm building an AI advertising firm where we're able to create VSLs and UGC influencers, custom bespoke to, this is a new thing, to any kind of market, any kind of archetype for any kind of product, one-to-one, custom bespoke. You can literally create a brand face for yourself, independent of human error. You send us the scripts, we spit it out, we work with you to develop exactly the archetype, the persona that you want, unlimited creatives, everything like that, right? So the levels of, things that I have going on, there's like one day I might be talking to bankers, right? One day I might be talking to a 17, 18-year-old kid who's looking to get his life together, right? One day I might be talking to Liam Shaw on the podcast, right? One day I might be talking to whoever it may be, right? A guy from the streets, right? Or a high level executive. I can match all of these different levels of doing business and having levels of conversation because I've done it. That's who I am, because that is who I am. That's my shit. Not many people can do that. That's rare, right? So for me to be one of these guys and be like, oh, here's how you start an agency. Like the thing that I got, I'll talk to you about it later, but like off camera. But the thing that I got going now, you're gonna be like, holy shit, that's good, because you got to invent your own sauce. The way that you win on a long enough time horizon is you got to invent your own shit, and you have to create your own shit. Entrepreneurship and marketing is about alchemy, bro. It's about creativity. Alchemy is creating something from nothing, creating gold from nothing, creating money from nothing, right? Obviously, you can't create money. You're not the Federal Reserve, but it's creating something of value from nothing and putting it out there into the world. And my computer battery is super low, bro. So like, I don't know if we're just gonna get randomly cut off because I don't have my charger on me. But like, that is the game, bro. And for me, it's very eye opening and very enlightening to be able to be myself and learning how to really nowadays I'm learning how to really make decisions and high level decisions and trust my gut and hire people and manage people and build something that's way higher leverage. But it's like you can't be anybody else. You have to be yourself. You can take the things that make those other people great, those habits, right? But just because you smoke a cigar and wear a suit doesn't give you that sauce, bro. You look like a fucking geek. You look like a geek doing that. Like, so, just because you wear a flannel and a wife beater and a hat and a nose ring doesn't make you Alex Hormozy. Oh, I think we're cooked.
Oh,
Hold
I think
on.
we're cooked.
Hold on. I have my phone here. My phone's pretty low too. Fuck.
That's right.
I'm
Well,
on
look,
4%, Liam.
we'll wrap it up.
Bro,
We'll wrap it up there, David. I know we're gonna do a part 2 to this episode because it's just getting started. But for everyone that's listening, give a follow, okay? If you want to find David, give him a shout out on Twitter is his best place, X, whatever you want to call it. He's gonna find yourself there at Your Real Lazy FVCK. I'll put in the link down below, and be prepared because we will be coming out with a part 2 where we're going to go a lot more into what David's up to today, what's going on, some of his business acumen and what that's taken from building the agency and scaling that agency, and what that has evolved into what it is today. Thank you for listening. Make sure you comment below who you'd like to see on next, and be ready for part 2.